Hello everyone, Philip Scroggin with Progressive Technology here. I'm the Business Development Manager for Progressive Technology, and we are going through our Cybersecurity User Best Practices video series here on YouTube. Just to reiterate, Progressive Technology is an IT services provider. We help small organizations strengthen their operations and overall reach their business goals and become more profitable through intelligent use and leverage of various technologies. However, when it comes to security, while many businesses look to us to be the platform on which they keep their business secure, there's nothing that can truly replace you as a user following best practices on a daily basis, and that includes email security. So this is one of the four main topics we'll be covering, and email security is highly important to keeping your organization safe. The reason being, or one of the reasons being, is that out of all cyber attacks that come your way to your organization, as many as 91% of them will start out as a phishing email, right? It comes in your inbox. I've seen other data that shows different statistics, but they all say the majority of them are going to start as phishing emails. It looks legit. It's not. I need you to respond. I get you, and I compromise your organization. So we can really reduce a lot of risk by following best practices on email usage. So let's go over some basic tips we can follow on a daily basis while we use our email and be productive while keeping our business safe. The first part would be to use your spidey sense, okay? You could also say your instincts, right? In addition to spidey sense. If anybody knows Spider-Man, something bad is about to happen. He gets that spidey sense antenna going up, and then he knows, okay, something's about to go down here, okay? Same thing with you. Don't treat your email like Facebook, right? Just going through stuff and liking stuff. When you're in your email, because we know, once again, 91% the majority of cyber attacks start as phishing emails. Be more aware of what you're doing inside your email and be more aware of the kind of emails that you get into your inbox. So step one. Let's talk about the first step beyond just the mindset of having our thinking cap on, is the sender. So when we're looking at the sender, does the sender pass the eye test? First of all, is that sender known? Do we know that sender? If we don't, that's strike one. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that the email is malicious. However, although we get emails we weren't expecting all the time, was the email expected? If we get an email that wasn't expected and is from an unknown sender, your antenna needs to go up. Let's evaluate this. Who is this person? What do they want? Etc., etc., etc. Just be more aware when you're looking through emails. Were they expected? Is it a known sender? And furthermore, there's three different kinds of ways that you'll see spoof emails come at you as far as who they'll present themselves to be. They could present themselves as a generic person or a generic business and not try very hard. Once again, you'll need to go through your thinking cap, who this is, what they want. They could present themselves as a well-known entity, right? More likely to action something that comes from potentially like an Amazon on an order confirmation, or Google on a password reset or something that Google sends me, or same thing with Microsoft. Same thing with government entities like the IRS or other entities like the Better Business Bureau. Inevitably, we need to be thinking about that plus the request. Would a government entity be emailing you, especially if it's something important like the SEC or the IRS? I doubt so. They're most likely going to send you something through the mail, or they're going to call you. So when in doubt, we kind of just toss that aside. Other organizations like an Amazon or a Google very well may send you something through email, but we need to be very careful about, does this really make sense? And furthermore, we could do something when we're checking the email on the from, to, BCC'd, CC'd. Don't just look at the summary that it shows in your Outlook inbox. View details. Look at the full details of who that sender is, their exact email address, name. And while that's not a foolproof solution, there's ways you can mask it to even make that more convincing. a lot of times what you'll notice, you'll see like one letter being off, or their display name may be one thing, but the full email address is something else. So be aware of that when we're checking the sender. Was the email expected? Do we know the sender? If not, we need to be careful. And of course, the third type of way they'll attack is they could pose as someone within your organization. We've seen it. It's called spear phishing, and that's a more deadly, so to speak, variant of cybercrime. Instead of going for a large organization or a nondescript organization, they'll try to pose as someone you actually work with, whether it be a vendor or an employee. We need to keep our eye out on that too, because it does happen. The bonus category, I'll tell you, when you're looking to see if the email passes the eye test, is spelling, right? Spelling can be a big giveaway because a lot of these spoof emails, ransomware emails, they're created by, nation-sponsored, state-sponsored attacks, or they're just lazy English. So a lot of times when you notice spelling issues in the body of the email, for example, it's another way to kind of give away that this is potentially malicious. Now let's go from the sender into the request itself. Okay, the request is going to be very, very important when we're using our spidey sense, our instincts, our gut check to see if this is an okay email. First of all, is the request odd? Okay, you know that there's certain requests you should be getting, shouldn't be getting, based off of who the person is, based off of what your position type is, and what you're authorized to do, what you're not authorized to do. Keep track of that. Once again, if the IRS sends you an email saying you owe something on taxes, or they're going to audit you and you need to click on this as soon as possible, that may not be something you want to action, because the IRS wouldn't do that. If your boss tells you you need to go pay this person and go wire funds to this account ASAP, and that's not even within your responsibility to handle transfers or wire transfers, then that's odd. Same thing with other things, like someone sends you an invoice and you're not part of the accounting department. Easy things like that are tips. Is the request expected? So once again, if you get an email that wasn't expected and a request that wasn't expected, we need to hold the entire email and request suspect. One other thing to be thinking about. And finally, as another bonus to this category on the request, does it involve money? If it involves any kind of transfer of money, credit card information, wire transfer, here's the simplest thing to do. And I really want all of our clients and small businesses in general to follow this practice. Is call to confirm. Very simple, but oftentimes you're going to get this email, hey, I need this money transfer to this account stat. I need it right now. Super urgent. Of course, it's always going to be super urgent. That way you don't have time to stop and pause and think. It's going to end up being something where you wire it to some kind of bad guy, right? Or you give credit card information to some kind of bad guy. And the next thing you know, you're in a world of hurt. And it's because we don't take that extra step. If someone wants me to transfer money, I need to call them and verify that that's the case. And if you do, good. If not, now we know that someone's trying to go after us with a malicious email. Now let's go into the different vehicles that they attach us with, okay? So a lot of times it's not just going to stop at the request. They're going to have one of three major ways they go after us and things they need us to do to truly compromise us. Simply opening the email in your inbox is not going to do anything. However, unlike what most people would expect, I think two of the three you're not going to be surprised about. But one that you might be surprised about is simply if you respond. Plus, I would say certain information. Once again, simply responding to the email may not do something, but if you respond with certain information they may be asking you for, username, password, names of certain people, in different kinds of sensitive information, could really directly compromise your organization, or it may be that they're trying to get information from you that then they can use that information to go after someone else, and it could indirectly impact your organization. They may try to get you to do that, to respond with information. However, the majority of these kinds of attacks, they're going to do one of two things. They're going to send you an attachment, okay? They're either going to send you an attachment with this email, or they're going to send you a link in the body of the email, okay? They're going to tell you to open this attachment, or they're going to tell you to go to this link, okay? Now with the attachments, we're looking at stuff like it could be a PDF, a Word document, a spreadsheet, it could be an exe file, it could be a .zip file, which we are telling our clients do not open zips, do not send zips. There's stuff like Google Drive and Dropbox and 50,000 other cloud storage options out there to send large amounts of files. I digress. They're going to ask you to open an attachment. It's going to have some kind of auto run functionality, some kind of auto script. It's going to install drivers. It's going to install that software program to compromise your organization, whether it be encrypting files or affecting the operating system, etc., etc., etc. Attachments are going to be one of the ways. The other way would be links. So it may, say Amazon.com, Google.com, the name of a legitimate website. But when you actually go to that site, you're redirected to something differently entirely. They're obviously not going, and most of the time, they won't have the actual name of this, malicious website they're trying to send you to. A lot of times it could look, they're sending you to what looks like a legitimate website, and it doesn't automatically start to do its thing. It could take you to a website that spoofs another legitimate website, and they ask you to put in, for example, username and password credentials. A lot of different ways they can attack you, but in general, you need to, once again, if it's not passing the instinct test, the eye test, and the request is odd and not expected or involves money, we need to hold it suspect. And furthermore, I would advise you, as a general tip, is rather than just clicking on this link if you're not sure, you can scroll across the link URL, and it should expand and show you the full actual website address it's trying to take you to. So keep that in mind. So we've looked at all these different things to look for, indicators, and to whether or not this email is safe. In the end, the question is to delete or not to delete. That is the question. I say we have two general pathways. And then for the bad stuff, we have, I'd say, one more step to consider. So with that being said, obviously, if the email is okay, it passed all these different tests we went through, well, then go ahead and respond, okay? We're good to go. It's a good email. Go on with your day. However, if this email does not pass with these tests and you think it may be bad email, right, potentially a cyber attack, I would say there's two different approaches you might want to take. Okay, with all other, generic spoof emails, bad emails, here's what you do. Pretty simple. You delete that thing. Get that thing in the trash, delete that email, do not action it, delete, delete, delete. However, there are certain types of what I'd call social engineering kind of attacks, and it refers back to what we talked about here sometimes with this money transfer. If it looks more like a spear or phishing attack, something that could be going not just to you but other people in the organization, you're going to want to delete. However, in addition to deleting that email, you may also want to report. In fact, I would recommend you have some kind of way to report this incident after the fact. That way, we can mitigate the risk of other people within the organization becoming compromised. So it may be that you delete the email, then you just send a blank email to your staff with an overview of what that malicious email looks like, telling them not to action it, or it could involve you taking a screenshot of that malicious email and then emailing a picture of what the email looks like to the staff. Do not forward a malicious email to your staff or anyone at all. You delete that actual email, you do not forward it. But there's a couple of different ways. Talk with your IT provider, talk with Progressive Technology about how we approach that. And of course, there's who you tell it to. Do you immediately tell it to the entire staff? Do you tell management? Do you tell your IT services provider? That's more of a business level conversation you need to have in terms of reporting procedures. And that kind of closely relates to once you're compromised, how do we do remediation procedures as well? So with that being said, we could go on this forever and ever and ever, but email security is highly important. Please be more aware of what you're doing inside your email and to make your business a lot safer. So with that being said, please leave your comments in the YouTube comment section below on this video. Please tweet us regarding this video, any questions you may have at PTI Tweets. We'd like to do a follow-up Q&A video on this topic as well as the other topics we're covering and do more specific responses to, the questions you'll inevitably have. So with that being said, this is all for now on email security. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you here next time.